do not fight corruption, corruption will eventually fight back and create a problem in the society. Welcome to Talk Point on Lagos Television. My name is Omololu Rosawo. Today on Talk Point, our focus will be on anti-corruption in Nigeria, the fight of anti-corruption in Nigeria. And I have a guest in the studio that will be doing justice to that. I have with me Ayodele Ameem. He's a public affairs analyst and also the executive director, Human Rights Advancement Development and Advocacy Center. Ameem, how to have you?
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, I guess you've been on the program sometime, but it's been long.
Yeah, so many times, yeah.
Yes, every society is faced with corruption, either in a large form or in small form. And also, but the ability for that society to reduce it to the barest minimum is what makes the progress of that particular society.
Yeah.
Now that we have corruption endemic in everywhere, how can we fight it, and why is it thriving in our society, particularly in Nigeria?
I think the first thing we need to understand, what is corruption? You know, to ordinary layman on the street, you know, it's like bribery, okay, taking money from one person, but to put it in a simpler form, it is just the abuse of power for private gains. So there you will see two connotations. You must have power, no matter how small that power is, to partake in corruption. And then you must be benefiting from the corruption privately for yourself, not for the institution that actually employ you, okay? Now, if you look at it in that connotation, those benefits you get might not just be in terms of money. Okay. It might be influence, it might be other things. It's still corruption. But what anti-corruption tries to do is to have a level playing field for everybody. If you say this is the policy, everybody should be able to follow the policy. There should be no preferential treatment around it. Now, for us, I look at it in terms of what we do as an organization, is bringing the anti-corruption war to the grassroots. And we are trying to use two strategies in doing that. One is to raise the voice of the common man, to be able to raise their voice to fight corruption. And the other thing is to be able to engage with the politician at that level in terms of policy reform, in terms of institutional reforms. But like you said, we can only reduce corruption. We cannot actually terminate it, because even in the developed country, you still have Trump is being tried for something similar. So for us, which one is more important? Is it, first of all, to make sure that the masses can be able to raise their voice, first of all, to be able to identify what corruption is, and to know also the link between what is happening in Abuja and them. If you go on the street now and talk about the humanitarian ministry, you know, such an amount has been recovered, they can't actually resonate in terms of how is that link to them. They can't understand it. When you talk about the National Assembly pardoning budget, they still can't understand how that relates to the common man in Koshofe local government, or in Ketu, or in Ajegule. So, but you need to actually draw up a scenario for them to understand what corruption is. We have engaged with a lot of people in our election works, whereby vote buying, you know, and they are being given like 5,000, 10,000 naira. They don't perceive that as corruption. And until you start to now explain to them that that 10,000 you collected, if you divide it by 365 times 4 years, you're actually allowing somebody to loot your treasury.
But sorry, I'm still going to cut in and allow you to speak. Is it not that they're saying, look, we're collecting allergies? That's if the politicians offer them.
But that is exactly what they don't understand. We make it clear to people, not only our work on election in Nigeria, in Sierra Leone, in Gambia. We make it clear to people that, look at it this way. There is no incentive for government or for politicians not to come back to power if they can buy you. They can buy you, then there is no incentive for them to provide good governance. because it is good governance that determine who you put back in power, isn't it? Now, if they know they don't need you, we can actually buy the vote. Then they don't need to give you good governance. They don't need to give you good schools. They don't need to give you good healthcare. They can just buy you at the election. And this is the implication of this connotation of we are collecting our own. Let them go there and steal. But you still come back to the narrative that they can't actually think through the link between what is happening in Abuja and how that affects them. But there are things that has happened that have shown that there is real links between them. First is our financial policy on the new Naira note. They can see how a single policy can destabilize millions of Nigerians.
That was what happened in 2023
exactly,
before the election.
Exactly. And we can also see now with the fluctuation of the dollars, how that affects. People say, oh, the Gary seller, why is it concerned? But you can link the rise in dollars to fuel price to commercial vehicle to the Gary seller. So this kind of roadmap is what the ordinary masses need to understand and to say you can't leave corruption war to anti-graft agency, you can't leave it to just NGO. You are the grassroots also need to fight because it's your war.
Now, if you say that, we see that corruption, not corruption, we see now that the dollar is getting weaker, and weaker now,
and
the Naira is getting stronger.
Yeah.
Now, if that is happening, shouldn't it translate, from what you have just said now, shouldn't it translate to things coming down gradually, unlike it staying up? Because when things go up in Nigeria, you find they hardly come down.
Yeah, I think if we look at the economic of demand and supply, we know what it means. And for now, things might be staying there. People have told me so many times that, oh, the dollar is down now, but the price of goods and services are not coming down. But we need to look at what that rise in dollar did to us. It allowed us to make certain choices that we don't make before. It allows us to say, okay, I used to buy turkey. Now the price of turkey has gone up. I can't buy turkey, I have to go and buy beef that is not being imported. So we are making that choices, we are giving ourselves financial discipline. Now, when people start to patronize those beef and nobody or very few people patronize turkey, the price of turkey will start to fall to yield to that low demand. So it takes a bit of gradual process, but like I said, the way the Gary seller in Mushi market or the Ofada seller in Mushi market look at this is not intellectually as we look at it. So they will look at the fact that I've gone to get my Ofada rice from Abeokuta. I got it at this price. Once I finish selling this, if I go and get the next batch and I got it at a lesser price, then I have to fix a lesser price for the people to buy. So it's just the way things are.
Now, if you look at the media that is awash with stories of recoveries of monies, about billions of Naira, then thousands of dollars from the Humanitarian Ministry, from other areas by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. How can you just correlate this? Because we seem to be having some of these things, but we don't see some of the effect on the society.
Yeah, I don't think it's something we need to celebrate. We have been in this before. We have seen where money were recovered and then re-looted. We have seen that. We saw that in the Jonathan era. We saw that in so many in other instances. So in this case, what this shows that, well, the EFCC is working, okay? Let's take that as, this money has been recovered. But this money that was recovered already planned for something. So are those projects implemented? Are they inflated? So these are questions we need to ask. If certain amount is budgeted for palliative, for example, in a particular state, so did they do the palliative? Or they didn't? And they just took the money away. Was the budget inflated?
Or was the yardstick
so
for
there's
measuring?
a lot we don't know about the recovery routes. And it is having this information that will tell us whether we should celebrate this recovery or not. And the other question I do ask is that there must be a violation of certain policies around this. We know that EFC is very active around the banks. So what happened? If you, as an ordinary man, go to the bank and deposit a certain amount of money that is above the threshold, they are obligated to inform EFCC. So what happened in this situation? So there is a lot of unanswered questions around this, and I don't think we should celebrate it yet.
Yes, yes. Since you mentioned the banks, I think we should just also talk on it now. Over the years, we've had banks, or bank officials, bank managers, CEOs, just gallivant around, use round tripping to make money. Some of them don't have companies, and they are making billions of naira, and they're investing in so many things. Now, has the anti-graft agency been asleep? Or is it that we're not doing what we're supposed to do as institutions to curb some of this?
Well, we don't have that information whether they are asleep or not. We haven't investigated that. But what we know is that it's not just limited to anti-graft agencies. The problem with us as a country is not the lack of policy, but the lack of implementation. We have very good policies. We have very good laws. But how do we implement it? It's a challenge for government officials. I have been opportune in the course of my career to sit down with the Office of the Ombudsman and looking at their laws, and this was in the Gambia actually, and talking about there are certain flouting of this law by the Office of the President. And then it was the former president, the dictator. They said, we can't investigate him. But the law doesn't say you can't investigate him. The law doesn't put it.
He could have used his power as the former president in that country.
But the law, if you look at developed countries, okay, you don't have powers over the law. The law have powers over you. You might have immunity, just like Trump have, okay? Once you are out of there, it's going through some legal process now. So we need to get to that level in our country as well to make sure that the laws and policies supersede our personality. And I think that is the most important lesson we need to learn.
Yes, very recently, $44 billion was attributed to somebody in an Asian country. Very recently, and the person was slammed.
Yeah.
Can't we have that replicated in Nigeria?
Well, I think we need to get there, but I also think that there is a lot of challenges that we have. There is a problem of sustainability. Even look at EFCC. Look at the amount of change in leadership we have had. You know, so it's really very difficult. Every leader come with his own style, with his own strategy. At times it's difficult to sustain. But I normally go back to what Father Kuka said, that he has met nearly all the presidents of the country. He has never seen one that is determined to destroy the country.
Okay.
Okay? So basically, some people might mean well, but there are challenges of how I have been opportune to organize a program with the National Assemblies. And this is with senators of a particular committees we can mention. And with my international partner, Conservation International then. And we are supposed to have the program at the Hilton Hotel. We have made all arrangements. But later we are told that we have to give transportation costs to ministers. And the amount was mind-blowing. We said we can't do that.
How many years was that ago?
That should be 2018.
Okay.
You understand? And we haven't told that they don't come to such event alone. They will come with an handbag. Yeah. The senators live in Abuja. The event is in Abuja. You know, they are not asking for fuel from their office. You know, it's mind-blowing. You know.
Did you still hold the program?
Well, we didn't. We now downgraded it to the clerk of the committees. Even with the clerk of the committees, they want transportation costs, but we are holding the program in your office. These are the challenges we face. And because of that, our international partner couldn't bring the program because it's a consultative meeting. So they have to take it to another country. And this is the implication people don't know. This is the impact of corruption on development.
Now, how can we change this narrative? Because it seems to be affecting us negatively.
It has.
So how can we change it? Because the giver is there, then the taker too is there. Then in the system, we also have politicians, we have public servants, we have private sector operators also doing this together. How can we change this narrative and have stronger institutions?
We have to address the issue of impunity. Okay, when people do something and nothing happened to them, they will continue to do it. It is a complicated issue. And you start, I just traveled from Badagry to Cotonou by road, and you can imagine the amount of checkpoints there. Now, nobody will tell you that those checkpoints are there just for security purposes. The intention why those checkpoints are there are clear. Now, I'm not the only one going through that road. You know, why can't the Minister of Internal Affairs go through that road, not using his car, just take public transport?
To observe.
To observe. You know, over 47 checkpoints.
Between Seme and Badagry.
And Badagry, with various agencies. Even you get into a place whereby some security agent employed the local people to do the checkpoint on their behalf.
They sit back.
They just sit in their little something. So those guys have no authority. But they are using the authority of the security personnel. So these are things. So I'm not the only one that have seen that. And that is why I welcome the Anti-Corruption Act of Lagos State. Because with that, if it's a Lagos State issue, you can complain directly to the commission. But as an ordinary person, where does he find this kind of complaint, apart from social media? So there is no process. Is he going to write to EFCC? Is he going to write to who? You know. So and these are difficult situations.
So I'm wondering, because if this is happening at this level, now what is the magnitude of your awareness in terms of getting people to know more about some of these things, so that they can also know their rights, to ensure that...
Yes. Some of the things we are doing as an organization, we have an anti-corruption page on our website where you could get a lot of information. We have the Lagos State Anti-Corruption Act. We have digitalized it into English, into Pidgin, into Yoruba language.
Yes, so you have the backing of the Lagos State government on that?
Yeah, we have collaboration with the Ministry of Justice.
Okay.
So we met with the minister, the commissioner, on this. And so we have that. But despite that, it's a public document anyway. So it's just interpreting it directly. But so they are aware that we are doing it. We went to Alausa to distribute copies of this. We could imagine how many civil servants that they have. They don't even know that an anti-corruption bill has been passed into law. They are not aware until we were there distributing this leaflet to them, so that they can know what they can do, what they cannot do.
So, some may know, some may just feign ignorance, because some may not, look, it doesn't concern me.
Yeah, it's not concerning them now because the commission have not started operation. And that is why I continue to use platforms like this to call on the governor of Lagos State to say it's our time. We kickstart this commission. The chairperson of commission has been appointed for many months now, but the commission has not been inaugurated. We really need that commission to be inaugurated. My organization is willing to work with the commission, provide technical support if possible. Okay, now as we round up now, what is your advice now in terms of fighting corruption in the society, across the board, and how to reduce it? The advice, for me, I think we need to work with people in the grassroots, the common man. They need to raise their voice about anti-corruption. Now, people say, oh, they are not interested. It's because the issues does not resonate with them. It is because we haven't unpacked it for them to understand. Because if you look at football supporters, the amount of emotion and motivation they put into it, definitely they can do something. So we just need, we are working with them. trying to see what we can do to work with them. But like I said, on our website, we have a lot of information on anti-corruption. We have RSS feed on anti-corruption, whereby it tracks all anti-corruption news all over the world, and people can, get more information. But we will continue. The fight against corruption is not something we will just win, but we will need to be in the fight continuously. And that is very important.
Yes, we've been speaking to Ayodele Ameem, and we've been talking on Nigeria's anti-corruption policies and how to reduce corruption in Nigeria. I want to thank you so much, Ayodele Ameem, for being part of Talk Point. Yes, on that note, we have come to the end of Talk Point. 767 and 112 are still the lines to always call in times of emergency. Stay out of trouble. Ensure that you contribute positively to the development of Nigeria and indeed Lagos State so that we can be proud of ourselves. I am Omololu Rosowu, saying bye-bye.
Women are the epitome of strength, beauty, diversity, fertility, and life. The creation of a woman was the beginning of increase, though God in the Holy Book drove the first woman, Eve, and her husband, Adam, away from the Garden of Eden as a form of punishment for their disobedience. The woman was still able to carry generations in her womb, thrive through her resilience, hard work, and bring food to the table in a world where the economy is biting hard.
You can't leave all the burden for your husband in the house. You have to find a means of helping out to provide for the family too, because we are helpmates for the husband. The challenge I've been facing concerning this business is the inflation of things generally in the country. As we all know, the price of things has really gone up, especially fruits. If you go to market, you see how it is for yourself. My advice for the government is to help the women, basically, because women are the backbone of the family, by making loans accessible to them, preferably maybe grants. That will really go a long way for them to enhance their business, to improve their productivity and the business phase generally. And my advice to the women out there is they should find something doing.
I
love to cook, but things are very expensive in the market, especially pepper. The government should please help us.
Because the environment is as the economic is
Are there actions that can be taken to protect the rights of women and open the doors of opportunities for them?
Let our government for once wear the face of a woman, being gender sensitive. The policies have to be deliberate. Loans, support system, dismantling archaic, dispossessing, debilitating culture and traditions across the country that are most of the time anti-women. The country cannot grow if there's lopsided development. Women are about half of the population in Nigeria, and women are the poorest. Women are the most economically disempowered. We really need to do something. There has to be conscious policy, because that's the role of government, to ensure the welfare of its people.
Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees freedom for every citizen, and that includes women. The guarantees are to own property, to move freely, to right to education, right to fair hearing, and all the rest. So all this has unlocked everything, no matter the gender, that you have a right in the system to flourish. Number 2 is that you are not supposed to be discriminated against by the Constitution of Nigeria. And if there's any other practices in any way or law, the law cannot take effect over and above the Constitution. So a woman is guaranteed everything he wishes for him or herself according to the Constitution of Nigeria in Nigeria.
To ensure that women are adequately equipped with the tools for financial freedom, the Lagos State government, through her local government and local council development areas, has been able to alleviate the sufferings of some women through the provision of skills acquisition programs and tools to carry on with the acquired trainings, with the promise to continue to do more. An empowered woman is equal to an empowered world. Empower a woman today.
Audio Jungle.
Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is a renowned Nigerian author, widely recognized as a key figure in post-colonial feminist literature. She has written several award-winning novels, including Purple Hibiscus in 2003, Half of a Yellow Sun in 2006, and Americana in 2013, among others. Born on September 15, 1977, in Enugu State, Nigeria, Adichie was exposed to education early as her parents lived and worked in Nsukka, a university town. Adichie initially studied medicine at the University of Nigeria, but later moved to the United States at the age of 19, where she switched her focus to communication and political science. Her first published work was a poetry collection titled Decisions in 1997, and this was followed by a play titled For Love of Biafra in 1998.